It's maddening that you make me smile, even at times when no one else can. When I get overwhelmed and I want the world to fade away just for a while.
Hello my beautiful people, welcome to my channel. If you don't know me already, my name is Rachel. I am a senior communication major here at Clemson. I know some of you are moving in very soon. I wanted to give you guys a checklist of things that you're going to be needing for your apartment. I've made a compiled list here on my notes just to brush up on what we need for this semester. This is my second year here at my apartment in Clemson. These are some of the things that I have accumulated over the past year that I have lived here. These are things that, I totally forgot about, that you don't realize that you forget until you actually get there. So I'm just gonna read these out to you. And actually, what if we start with the don'ts? Yeah, there are also don'ts about things that you bring to your apartment. You don't want to forget these things because when they do happen, it kind of turns into an issue. Maybe not with just you, but with other roommates. I have 2 other roommates, not including myself. But yeah, so let's get the video rolling. My first thing that I want to bring up is maybe you want to do a full grocery run, your first time ever going shopping for your apartment. I'm talking just food. I'm not talking anything else. So stock up what you can on whatever you want, whether that be snacks or condiments, spices, anything that you believe that you will be using in your apartment. Over time, you're gonna learn what you end up eating throughout the semester, and some things you don't. For example, one of the things that I don't use is milk all the time. Sometimes I'll buy it maybe in the half gallon, but it is really rare when we have milk in our fridge. The first grocery run is going to be a little bit more expensive. It's gonna probably be over $100, just expect that. It could be more, way more than $100. Over the course of the semester, especially if you have a meal plan or something like that on top of what you already have, it's not gonna be necessary to exactly spend over $100 on groceries on a weekly basis or bi-weekly. I personally find myself buying, I want to say the range is $50 to $70 instead of $100. So maybe that might save you $30. You just want to be sure that you're buying things that you're gonna realistically use. Otherwise, you're gonna end up tossing it. Also, another reason why you might not want to buy as much food is because, especially if you're living with other roommates, they might want to have some space too. So you want to make sure that you guys split it evenly. There are some things that all 3 of us share. You might want to keep that in mind when you are buying things because you might have an idea of all this food that you want to compile, but at the same time you have to keep in mind of your other roommates as well. Anyway, the second thing that I want to mention is also regarding groceries. And let's say your apartment complex has a garage, a parking garage that is separate from the building. It's really nice to have a little cart or a buggy or whatever you guys like to call it. I actually have one that I'm really looking forward to buying, so I can link that down below. It is essential to have one, especially if you're buying more groceries, or let's say you're going out all together, 3 roommates all together, and you just have a ton of groceries. You want to make sure that you have something that you can store your groceries in, because it is gonna cost you a little bit of time, especially if you have to run back and forth to your car, and you don't want to do that because us college students we want to have as less amount of grocery runs as possible. So yes, make sure you have a rolling cart because that is very important. It just saves you a lot of time. Another big don't is do not forget a dolly or a cart when you are moving into your apartment. When you're coming into your apartment, not a lot of places offer a cart or a dolly for you to have and for you to move in your stuff. You might want to bring that with you because it's not going to be freshman year where they provide them. So my first experience moving into my apartment, at the time I was actually one of the first people to move into my apartment. I was the only one in my complex at the time, and that was such an interesting experience, but I did not have a cart or dolly to use. So we had to bring everything up by hand, and that was a big problem. We really wished we brought carts or anything that would just help the situation out just a little bit. So just keep that in mind when you are moving into an apartment. My fourth tip for you on the don'ts list is do not forget to check your apartment's website. This is really vital when you are trying to move into your apartment, or you're checking out apartments, researching, because in, your college town, or even like in real life, every place is different. One of the biggest things to check for is if it's fully furnished. So sometimes apartment complexes do not provide you certain things. For example, there is a difference between furnished and fully furnished apartment complexes. When it says furnished, it has some things that might be included within your apartment, but it might not have all of the things. For instance, you walk into your apartment and it has a coffee table, it has a side table, maybe it has appliances like a refrigerator, but might not have bar chairs. Or maybe your apartment complex doesn't provide washing machines, microwaves, dishwashers. You don't know that. So it's very vital to check that. If it says fully furnished, that means it provides you practically everything. Number 5, you don't want to buy everything that you think that you're going to need in this apartment. The reality is that you're not going to set up your apartment room within the day. It's gonna change over time as you start to settle into your apartment. That is one of the things that I had to learn coming here. I came to realize that my room changed a whole lot than what I thought it was going to be. But yeah, so it's gonna take a few days, especially if you're doing recruitment or you have activities that you're doing right on the spot. Plus, on the other hand, your roommates might also be buying things. During the summer, it's really good to be in contact with your roommates. You want to make sure that you're not buying duplicates of things. And on top of that, you might not have as much space as you think that you do in your apartment. Keep that in mind when you are buying things like furniture or your television, stuff like that. You don't want to have 2 vacuums, for instance. You don't want that. Number 6, I have do not buy cable. Cable is just phasing out in general, and sometimes cable can be pricey. The other reason why you don't want to pay for cable is because your apartment complex might provide it to you. Our apartment complex did provide cable to us on the TV that they gave us. If you bring a TV in, just be sure it has Netflix, Max, Hulu, any of those platforms. Okay, number 7. This also has to do with the space and stuff like that. You don't want to bring an excess amount of mugs, plates, and specific appliances. What I mean by this is your crock pots, your waffle makers, quesadilla makers, stuff like that. You don't want to bring that stuff. We want to make the most out of our space in our apartment. Sometimes there are some apartment complexes that don't have a lot of shelf space, and you don't want to have them end up collecting dust over time. Maybe you might use that quesadilla maker once and that's it. You don't have time to just pull out a quesadilla maker. Now, maybe if you're someone who cooks, maybe that is your hobby or something, then it's good. But if you're not going to use it all the time, do not bring it. Just don't. Just save yourself the time, money, and energy. About mugs and plates, I gotta be honest, mugs and plates tend to take up a lot of space, and you want to be sure that you don't have too many of them. Having ideally 2 or 3 mugs or plates, really at the end of the day you're providing for yourself. If you have someone who might be staying over, you might use 1 plate. So now that we've gone through all of that, now I'm just gonna run through a list of things that you might want for your apartment. First off, I'm going to start with bedding. It's pretty self-explanatory. You might have experience with dorm stuff, but it's kind of the same with apartments. Of course, you want your pillow and pillowcases. You want 2 of those, and then whatever throw pillows that you want. Mattress pad, because some apartments, depending on if they give you a bed or not, they will probably give you a harder mattress. Mine's a little bit harder. I never put a mattress pad on there, but I know some people did here and they find it really soft. So but I don't mind the hardness of the bed. That's just me. If you want to throw a blanket, must, especially if you get cold and you don't want to deal with the covers. Also a mattress cover just to like protect the mattress, and then of course a headboard. I like having a headboard. This is optional, but it's nice to just have like a little backdrop behind the bed. So now let's move on to bedroom stuff since we're on the topic of bedroom. So first off, we have rugs. I currently have like a fuzzy rug. I have rugs also in my bathroom, a mirror. Next is a cork board. This is also kind of optional. Command hooks. This is definitely important, especially if you want to hang things. All of these lovely things that you see here in my apartment right now were hung by command hooks. Number 5, I would say any type of room decor, but just be sure to not bring too much because the room, like your apartment room, might be a little bit smaller than you expect. Next, I would say organization bins. Yeah, it takes up more space, but at the same time, like it kind of, you can stack things higher. Next is pictures and posters. That also goes with room decor. 8, I would say a desk lamp. It's very good to have one, especially if you're studying. Next is hangers. This is something that people don't really think of when they come here, but I bought like entirely new hangers just for here because why not? And they're also matching, so. Next is a laundry basket. I store mine in my closet. That's pretty self-explanatory. So for 11, I would say trash can. I keep one in my room, like a mini one, and then I also have one in my bathroom. That's important. Also, it's good to have one in the kitchen as well. 12 is a calendar. I like to keep a calendar so I stay focused on like what I need to do throughout the day. I also use Google Calendar too, so that's kind of optional too. A shoe organizer would be number 13 because, you know, sometimes there's not a lot of space and it's good to be organized and try to make the most out of your space. A desk organizer is the same way. Then 15 is supplies, any school supplies. 16 is like Scotch tape, and if you want a printer, printers take up a lot of space, so you might want to be wary of that when you're planning out your room because it's gonna take up some like table space. So just keep that in mind if you're like wanting a printer. Like if you're in college, then you know most places like allow you to print stuff out, like either for free or for like a small fee, like 70 cents or something like that. You know, just utilize that or like ask someone else who has a printer. So that's it with the bedroom stuff. And then as far as the bathroom stuff, I want to go quite fast because some of the stuff is self-explanatory, so I'm just going to go through it. Number 1 is bath towels. Have about 2 to 4 of them. Just keep them in mind, especially if you have guests. 2 washcloths. 3 a loofah. 4 hand soap. 5 I would say a bath mat. 6 a trash can, like I mentioned before. 7 toilet scrubber and cleaners. Very important because especially if you're going to leave like for the summer or something, you might need to clean your toilet. It gets nasty. Number 8 is toilet paper. This is also something, I mean, it's like a last minute thing that you can just get like the day of. So now let's move on to kitchen stuff. Coffee mugs. 2 is Tupperware. That's something not a lot of people think of, and we had to go to Costco to buy it because we totally forgot about it. 3 is Brita filters and Brita. We have 2 Britas that we like to keep around in our refrigerator. 4 is cooking utensils. Stones for an oven. This is also kind of important. Get those aluminum trays. That might also be important, especially like if you're cooking something. If you want to put chicken tenders like in the oven, you can do that. So that's definitely important to have. Number 6 is a blender. If you want to make smoothies or anything like that. We don't have a blender, but put it on your list anyways, you never know. Next is an air fryer. Now, when I tell you an air fryer is heaven, it's heaven. You can make French fries, you can make like salmon, you can make steak, whatever you want in an air fryer. Like 10 out of 10 would recommend an air fryer for sure. Number 8 is a dish drying rack. 9 is a dish towel. 10 is like gallon Ziplocs and also sandwich Ziplocs. You never know when you're gonna need it, so it's good to have it on there. Another thing that's also good to have on there is like the aluminum foil and like plastic wrap. That's another good thing. And cookie sheets. That's also good because you never know. Like if you need like sheets that are like non-stick. For number 11, it's gonna be utensils, and I'm thinking like knives, forks, spoons, stuff like that. Number 12 is cups and bowls. So next we have a toaster, 14 groceries. This is very important, and like I mentioned before, just be sure not to buy too many groceries. 15 is mixing bowls. So like if you want to make like dough for something or anything like that, like if you want to cook something, it's important to have that because you don't realize it until you need it, that you need it, if that makes sense. And number 16 is a strainer. That is also another thing we forgot in our apartment, is a strainer. It's like so like, you know, it's something you realize that when you don't have it, you need it. Number 17 is obviously like pots and pans. Anyway, so let's move on to cleaning and miscellaneous stuff. Number 1 is laundry detergent. I recommend getting like Tide Pods, or I have this store that's like near Clemson. It's called Buff City Soap, and they actually like sell soap, like laundry soap in like a powder form. Number 2 is stain removers. This is big, like especially if you're like a sorority girl or, you know, you go to parties or anything like that. It's really good to have like a stain remover. And I'm not just talking like those Tide pens, like those are great to have too. Like, don't get me wrong, definitely have that in your apartment, but have like shout or something, because you're gonna have stains. And there was one time I spilled coffee all over my white jeans. I just shouted it, I put shout on it, and it went away. Number 3 is dryer sheets. 4 is paper towels. So you're gonna be using a lot of paper towels, so you might want to split that with your roommates. Number 5 is disinfecting wipes, especially if you are like sick or like you want to clean a surface. It's good to have that. Number 6 is a vacuum. 7, a step stool. 8 is a broom, preferably one that has like the little tray. Like that one would be really good. Also, it would be really good to have a mop or a Swiffer as well, because you might want to clean your floor every once in a while. Like we clean ours like weekly, like every week. Number 10 is a multi-purpose cleaner. So it's good to have like a multi-purpose cleaner for like, you know, if you spill food or something on your counter, it's good to have that. Number 11 is Lysol. The reason why is because you're gonna have times when you're sick and you don't want to expose it to your roommates, so it's really good to have Lysol. 13, melting wax or candles. A lot of apartment complexes do not allow you to have like candles or anything like an open flame like that. You could have the wax melts, or I have like one of those like aromatherapy air purifiers. We are done. If you guys have any questions about anything on that list, definitely feel free to comment down below. That would be awesome. But that is all I have for you on apartment must-haves. If you liked this video, or if you felt like this video was helpful, be sure to like and subscribe. I love you guys very much. Continue to love yourself, stay golden, and I will chat with you guys real soon. Bye!